Journalist Josh Boswell joins us now live from Los Angeles. Josh, glad you made it in. Okay, so this exit deal that Johnson made with the EU, for the most part, it's the same deal struck by Theresa May, which Parliament, rejected 3 times? The big difference is that the Irish backstop is gone and the customs border will be somewhere in the middle of the ocean. So explain how all of this is meant to work.
Yeah, so it's a very finicky kind of resolution that he's tried to cut here with the European Union. What he wanted to do is avoid a hard border in Ireland, and he's managed to do that by kind of shifting it into the ocean. What that means is that goods that are coming across from the mainland UK into Northern Ireland will get charged customs before they reach Northern Ireland. So it's effectively moving that border back away from the border on the actual island of Ireland. And then if those goods stay in Northern Ireland, then the businesses will get a rebate, they'll get their money back. But it's essentially a way of moving that hard border away from the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic there.
It sounds very confusing.
Yes, it is. It is quite confusing, but it's also something that's been fought over the past, well, since the Brexit referendum, really. This has always been a sticking point. And Boris thought that he could get the DUP on side here. But really, it's crumbled, and that's going to affect his ability to pass this deal in Parliament.
OK, well, let's listen to the leader of the DUP. As you say, Johnson needs their support. He hasn't got it, at least not yet. Listen to this.
We believe it is not in the interests of Northern Ireland, either economically, and I've explained all of that around a border essentially for not just regulations, but for goods. We have different VAT rules, and we have no effective consent over any of those rules. So all of that taken in the round means that we cannot support this deal.
OK, there's a no and then there's a no. Is this a definitive statement of no? Does Johnson have any leverage here with the DUP to win their support?
In a word, no. I mean, really, they are pretty definitive here. They've said that, this drives a coach and horses through the Belfast Agreement, a previous agreement that they signed up to. And really, there doesn't seem to be much room here for the DUP to come back on side with this deal that Boris has already negotiated, set in stone with the European Union. What he will have to do, instead of relying on DUP votes, is going over to Labour, those Labour MPs who have a lot of Brexit voters in their constituencies who might vote for his Brexit deal in order to please those constituents, especially considering we're probably going to have a general election coming up soon, and they'll be mindful of that. But the numbers are very, very tight. There's only about 20 of those Labour MPs, and only 9 of them have previously voted for a Brexit deal in the past. So he's going to need pretty much every one of them.
Yeah, but there's also the hardline Brexiteers, in fact, the Brexit Party. Let's listen to the leader of the Brexit Party, Nigel Farage, who's not exactly on board.
I'll give him credit. I thought Theresa May's deal was the worst deal in history. Boris's achievements mean it's only the 2nd worst deal in history. It's still, from the point of view of a Brexiteer, completely and utterly unacceptable.
OK, so assuming that this does not go through Parliament, the assumption is October 31st deadline, it'll be extended, but how does that work? Does the UK actually formally ask for that extension? Does it automatically happen? Is it a passive extension, or does someone have to do something? Can Johnson ignore the extension, take the UK out of the EU? What's the process here?
Well, the former Prime Minister, David Cameron, on Thursday described Boris Johnson as a greased piglet who has the ability to slip through where others have failed before. So it's possible that he could come up with some way to work around the legislation that's already there. But what seems to be pretty clear is that Parliament has laid down a law saying if a deal is not agreed on by Parliament, then Boris Johnson has to go to the European Union and say, please give me an extension. Now, the government has said that they will comply with that law. But, of course, the European Union could turn around and say, no, we're not going to give you an extension. That's within their power. Now, I think they probably will. It's just a question of how long an extension. They're not going to, having worked on this deal with Boris Johnson, just throw it away like that, for almost no reason there. They will give him perhaps an extension till December, and that's when there's a turnover, there's a new president, there's going to be new leaders in the European Union. That would be a good time for them to set a deadline. Or they might set it, as this Benn Act forcing Boris Johnson to delay it says, in the end of December, January.
Yeah. It'll be over soon, one way or the other, I guess. Josh, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Well, violence flares again in Barcelona.